Buenas tardes para las familias que necesiten interpretación en español. Si presionan el globo que está en la parte baja de su pantalla, les pueden ayudar. Gracias.
Good evening, everyone. We are so excited to have you this evening at Talking Equity Atlanta. As we get started this evening, we want to do a quick cluster roll call. So if you could place in the chat the name of your school or your organization, just let us know which schools your students are representing tonight. Hutchinson Elementary, another Hutchinson. South Atlanta High School. Who else do we have? Not all at once. It's okay. Cleveland Avenue. There we go. Yes. We are so excited to have you all. Welcome. Stacy, SWAT, the young mobilizers, SWAT in the house. Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to have you all this evening. So just as a way of getting started, I would like to start with a few meeting norms. You will all remain muted until we have our breakout rooms this evening. We'll have a breakout room and everyone will have about 20 minutes to speak. The APS staff is here really just to listen. This evening, we really would like to hear your voices. So if you get in one of those breakout rooms and there are crickets, be somebody to step up and be brave and share out with us. We're really looking to hear your insights as we rev up our team and figure out ways to best serve the community here. And lastly, please be courteous and respectful of all opinions. We will begin our evening, and I'll pass it over to board member Estevez if he is here.
Yeah, board member Estevez is not here present with us at the time, but I can jump in and bring greetings on behalf of the board and on behalf of Dr. Herring, who could not join us this evening. But good evening, South Atlanta cluster parents, students, staff members, community members. It is great to see you all this evening. Thank you for joining us tonight for tea, Talking Equity Atlanta. I am Dr. Tauhida Baker-Jones. I am the Chief Equity and Social Justice Officer for Atlanta Public Schools, and I'm honored to be a part of this relevant and timely conversation. I'm also joined by several members of the Center for Equity and Social Justice, who we'll introduce at a much later time, and I also see some members of our CLL administration team. I see Dr. Dan Sims, our Associate Superintendent of High Schools. I see Tanisha Banks, Keisha Copeland, our Director of Family Engagement, and several other folks who are joining us this evening. So thank you all for attending. We've heard the word equity in many conversations that we've had throughout our district, but tonight our district leaders and myself will share what that word means for APS and why we believe it should be at the forefront of our work. We also want to hear from you about how we can work together to create a culture that encourages excellence for every student, regardless of whether they are affluent or marginalized, whether they're Black, brown, or white, identifying as he, she, or they, or diverse in their ability status. Every student deserves an equitable chance at success. So, and that's the purpose of our conversation this evening. We also know that in years past, this past year hasn't been easy for any of you. Some of our families were managing online learning while working a full-time job. Others were struggling to put food on the table as businesses closed and their jobs were lost as a result of the pandemic. Despite this, each of you still worked hand in hand with us here at Atlanta Public Schools to make the success of our students a top priority. And I, along with our district administration, sincerely thank you for that. With your engagement and support, we have navigated through uncharted territory successfully and are excited about the year ahead here in the Center for Equity and Social Justice. During Dr. Herring's recent Reimagine APS cluster meetings, we briefly touched on equity, but tonight we'll continue that conversation to ensure that every child in APS is ready for post-secondary success, whether that's a four-year college, a junior college, a trade school, or the workforce. We must prepare each one of our students based on their unique skill sets, needs, and interests to successfully thrive in our society. And our Center for Equity and Social Justice will be a key part of this courageous work. So before I allow my team in the Center for Equity and Social Justice to take the occasion to introduce themselves with a short video, I also just want to acknowledge our esteemed Vice Chair of our board, Ishay Collins, who has joined us as well, and invite her to just say a few words of welcome for the group before our team jumps in to introduce themselves.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm going to make it quick because I'm running in between meetings, but thank you so much, Dr. Baker-Jones, for hosting this conversation. I'm looking forward to an engaging conversation. It's good to see everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So with that, here's a warm welcome and introduction from a few of our members in the Center for Equity and Social Justice who are dedicated to partnering with our community to advance educational equity in APS.
Niao, and greetings.
Hola y bienvenidos.
Bonjour.
Aloha.
Namaste.
Sawabona.
Konnichiwa.
Guten Tag.
Marhaban.
Ciao.
Hujambo.
Hello.
My name is Quentin Stroud, the Equity Policy Analyst working at the Center for Equity and Social Justice.
Mi nombre es Joana García y soy la especialista en la comunidad Latinx en el Centro de Equidad y Justicia Social.
My name is Quentin O'Neill, the Coordinator for Supply Diversity with the Center of Equity and Social Justice.
My name is Ashley Reese, and I am the Administrative Manager in the Center for Equity and Social Justice at Atlanta Public Schools.
My name is Larry Wallace. I am the Executive Director of Federal Programs in the Center for Equity and Social Justice here in Atlanta Public Schools.
My name is Deirdre Smith, Organizational Ombuds with the Center for Equity and Social Justice.
My name is Stacy Wyatt. I'm the Executive Director of Equitable Learning Environments at the Center for Equity and Social Justice.
I'm Rhonda Hudson, the Coordinator of Equitable Student Support Services in the Center for Equity and Social Justice.
I am Gina DeVoe. I am the Coordinator of Equitable Schools and Academics in the Center for Equity and Social Justice.
My name is Natasha Speed, Executive Director for Equitable Resource Strategy in the Center for Equity and Social Justice.
My name is Keisha Copeland, and I am the Director of Family Engagement in the Center for Equity and Social Justice.
My name is Katisha Kennebrew, and I'm the Program Director for Equity Strategy in the Center for Equity and Social Justice at Atlanta Public Schools.
I'm looking forward to joining you at T.
Bienvenidos al Té.
Welcome to T.
Welcome to T.
Welcome to T.
Welcome to T.
Thank you for joining us for T.
Welcome to 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 T.
Hello, my name is Dr. Tauhida Baker-Jones, and I'm the Chief Equity and Social Justice Officer for the Center for Equity and Social Justice at Atlanta Public Schools. Welcome to T.
All right. So you've been able to be introduced to a few members of our team that are joining us here today on our call. And we're welcoming you to T, Talking Equity Atlanta. And we're just going to revisit what equity really means for us here in APS by taking a look at our mission and our vision for the schools, and then inviting you all to engage in a more intimate dialogue with members of our team about what equity means for you, how we can realize the mission and vision for equity here in APS, and how can we work collaboratively together to see this mission and vision come to fruition. So Quentin will project the mission and vision as I share that with you. But as Dr. Herring has shared in previous missions, in previous sessions rather, the mission of APS is through a caring culture of equity, trust, and collaboration, every student will graduate ready for college, career, and life. Our mission is very similar to what it has been in years past, with the addition of equity being added, and equity not only being added, but being at the forefront of what APS is seeking to do in our district. Along with Superintendent Herring, our APS leaders, we are working closely together to plan and strategize what the work of equity and social justice means for every child. And to do this well, we need your help. So let's first look at what we've already committed to doing as an APS family and what our vision is for this work. Our vision is a high-performing school district where students love to learn, educators inspire, families engage, and the community trusts the system. To bring these words to life, equity must be the through line in all of the work that we do throughout the system. To reach the mission and vision, we aim to grow each subgroup, not continually compare one subgroup against each other, but acknowledge that APS has one of the largest achievement gaps between race and class of students, but that APS is also growing. Achievement for all students grew in ELA and math milestones performance by 5% between 2017 and 2019. Black students grew 6% in math and 5% in ELA between 2017 and 2019. And the reverse trend was true for our Latinx and Hispanic students. Performance for white students grew roughly 4% in the same subject areas during the same period. Their growth was lower than other subgroups because their achievement was higher. The table here shows additional subgroup growth was also seen in our Asian, ELL, and student with disability populations as well. Overall, throughout the city, the graduation rate for 2019 and 2020, we also saw growth throughout the city. Yet there's still work to do as there is variation across the board. Here in South Atlanta cluster, the high school graduation declined in 2019 and 2020 by 6.6%. So the truth is we are making progress, but our progress must be more than incremental. It must be aggressive if we want all of our children to be successful. And we can only accomplish this through equity as our lens and keeping an intentional focus on every child. So what is equity really? You've heard us define equity in numerous sessions and conversations in sessions past, but at APS, we define equity as the quality of being just and fair, regardless of economic, social, cultural, and human differences among and between persons. To foster a culture that encourages excellence for all students and staff, we believe that equity should be and must be at the forefront. Every student must have an opportunity to come to school, have access to effective teaching, and they deserve to safely and comfortably learn and be who they are. So what is the aim of equity? The aim of equity is to provide students with additional and differentiated resources based on their educational needs. But at APS, we don't just stop at equity. We've also added social justice. Our community demands it, our nation demands it, our students deserve it. And for us, social justice is achieved when a school district breaks the predictive link between demography and outcomes for students. And what that means is that no matter where a student resides, whether it be north of the 20 or south of the 20, we cannot predict, nor can we foresee what their outcomes would be because they would be being educated to reach their fullest potential. Equitable, that means that our instruction has to be equitable and that we must live social justice through our educational and instructional practices. So what does equitable and socially just instruction looks like? Equitable instruction is learning that is grounded in the student's experiences because it is engaging, it is culturally and linguistically affirming, is meaningful, and is grade level appropriate. And being socially just in our instructional practices requires that we give our students a voice in the curriculum through supplementation that mitigates race, class, ability, language, gender, and other boundaries that often hinders access to the curriculum. And that's what we here at the Center for Equity and Social Justice is here to do and support our district in doing. In implementing our vision, We seek to provide more equitable resources and to support students and staff so that we can see this vision for equity come to life in our schools. That includes providing and supporting wraparound services with our external partners, serving as a gateway for managing equity concerns and questions, and ultimately increasing academic achievement and growth across all subgroups. And so now that we have a foundation on what the work is and what we're seeking to do together, we need to get it done. And so we've created breakout sessions for small group conversations for you to discuss and provide us with feedback on how we can get to where we're trying to go. We have 4 questions that we would like for you to answer, as well as an open forum for you to just share what's top of mind and what's top of heart for you as it relates to equity in Atlanta Public Schools. We're going to ask our odd number groups to answer questions 1 and 3, and your facilitator will share with you what those questions are. And we're going to ask our even number groups to answer questions 2 and 4. In each group, you will have a facilitator from the Center for Equity and Social Justice who will also take notes and serve as your timekeeper. They're there to listen and they're there to capture your voice. So let your voice be heard. And now let's talk equity, Atlanta. So I'm going to ask Quentin to break you into your breakout groups. I do ask for a little grace as we do this because we want to be very intentional in how we break everyone up. And I'm thinking we're going to have about 4 groups of folks. And so as you see the breakout prop come to your screen, please feel free to click it, and then you will be able to enter your respective breakout group accordingly.
I'm wondering if I have a volunteer yet. Anybody change their mind in group 1?
I think our group needs some extended time.
I'll do it for group 1.
Great, thank you, Ms. Hemingway.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I think, is everyone back out from their groups, Quentin? Or did we lose a few folks?
I think we lost a couple people across the evening.
Okay.
Yeah, we had people who had to leave early for things, at least
Got
2
it.
in my group.
Okay, great. So we are going to get started so that we can give you some time back actually and end a little early today. So we are going to have groups share out. Part of the reason we're sharing out is because we would like to ensure full transparency in this work. And we like we would like the small groups to share out what you all discussed. What were some of the key takeaways and highlights from your group? So we're going to go in group order. I think we have 4 groups. So we're going to start with group 1. If you could just share out for us, what were some of the main takeaways, 1 or 2 key takeaways from your group session?
Yeah, so one big takeaway is that we need to support the whole child and the whole family and the community that is around that child. We need to make sure that, we recognize that some parents have not necessarily been able to have high quality education for various reasons. We recognize that everybody has not gone to college and can't guide their child through that process. Or even helping them figure out like post-secondary plans and what makes sense for them. So we want to ensure that we are providing supports for those children and the families that they come from to make sure that they have the most equitable outcomes possible. They have a plan, because graduation itself cannot be the bar if there's nothing on that day after graduation for them to go into. If they're, for our example, just hanging out on Cleveland Avenue with no plan, no job, no anything, have we really done our part in preparing them? Was one really big piece. And then another one is just ensuring that our children have really positive academic experiences and that they are heard. We listen to the community, right, to an extent. We get parent surveys and things of that nature. But what does it look like to host roundtables and discussion groups and actually talk to people in their face to hear what they are saying? I push particularly for children. to hear what they're saying about their academic experiences. We make a lot of decisions on their behalf, and we never ask them how they're feeling, how it's impacting them. Are they learning more? Has it been better? We just, we act upon their lives without getting their input about what they want for their life. And our kids are more than capable of expressing that. And then I know you said one or two, but this one was also a really big deal, which is having some all cluster meetings, some all parent meetings, and with students, with parents, with staff, with teachers, having a big conversation together, which we recognize is challenging, but also it seems as if to have everything separately is creating more division. And so if we're one APS and we're trying to have some overall major outcomes, in particular around equity for everyone, we need to be able to know what other people are asking for, saying what people are receiving, and ensure that those resources are being shared across the cluster in a way that is to the benefit of all students and not just some.
Thank you for elevating that. Group 2, 2 takeaways from your group discussion.
Yes, we have we had such a great discussion and passion about the group. So we have Antonio and Andrea doing both of those. So they're going to share both questions. Go ahead, Antonio.
So the only reason why I'm going first and not Ms. Pendergrass is because I did the first question. Other than that, she would be going first.
That's true.
So we talked about a few things. The two of them is, one of them was a staff turnover or staff being moved around. We need consistency. We do like the investment that APS has made into a lot of our teachers, but we lose them. And so when you don't have consistency in teachers, you have it's kind of hard for the students to actually grow. The other thing we talked about resources was technology. Things that we know we need was drones, iPads, cameras, and we need to marry the technology with education. Ways that students can actually do stuff in the community and solve problems with that technology. So those were the first things for resources.
And then looking at the next question that talks about the profile of an APS graduate, and the attributes include someone that is goal-oriented, reflective, and a critical thinker. And in order for that to happen, our scholars need to experience that within their daily classroom instruction. So if our scholars don't experience daily in their classrooms opportunities to do those things, self-reflect, critically think, authentic experiences, then they will not be prepared to meet that APS profile graduate. And so a lot of the thinking that tends to come along with this side, this cluster seems to be from a deficit mindset, which we know that our scholars have gaps, and we know that we need to work to support those gaps in order to help them progress. But shifting that to an asset-based thinking and utilizing the strengths and being able to support them meeting the APS graduate profile. So those were the things we mentioned for the second question.
Thank you, Ms. Pendergrass. And Stroud, we have a question about which group. Number 2. Oh no, that was number 2. We're on now group 3. And I'm not really sure
Ms. Robinson was in my breakout room. We were having audio problems with her, so I don't think she was able to hear most of the discussion.
Got it. So group 3, you're up for 1 or 2 takeaways.
Absolutely, and I will do the report out for my group. So for group 3, we had questions 1 and 3, and then we also had an open discussion. But for question 1, one of the main takeaways from there is to allocate more resources for our troubled students in mediation, and also to try to limit out-of-school suspension with our students, as that is a big sticking point in their growth as they leave school and end up, possibly, in trouble with the law, things like that. We want to try to mediate that at an early stage within the schools and allocate resources there. Also, one of the takeaways was also limit how we remove counselors from the schools. Counselors are very critical to, our students being able to move forward and possibly enter the next level of their academic career by going off to college and things like that. And if we continue to remove the counselors who are instrumental in the success of students going to that next level of their education career or whatnot, that, you know, more students fall into the crack of not being able to get there. And then we also had an open discussion question. And one of the biggest takeaways from that open discussion of what was on one of the parents' hearts was the fact that we allocate so much resources and funding to our charter schools, and that we maybe need to push back or limit the charter schools that we have because it does not prevent or provide a sense of equity or diversity, as majority of the students in our charter schools, from her vantage point, is mostly brown students. And that does not present a good look. And it also creates division amongst parents that are from traditional schools and charter schools.
Thank you. Group number 4.
Hi, my name is Allison Hunter, and 2 key takeaways from our group were, as far as with equitable resources, we need to allow our students to have more exposure to what can be afforded to them. So as a student, I could definitely attest to the fact that before, you know, coming in and working with equity, I didn't even know that there were 16 schools, and I didn't know what those schools had that my school didn't. And I feel like separating students from, you know, or dividing them based on their district doesn't really help them know what can be afforded to them as far as resources. And then the other takeaway that I got from our group was that we need to have cross collaboration across the district and schools, in which we're tracking teacher and student actions and behaviors, and tracking the resources to see what works for one school and why it can't work for the other, why it can work for the other. We track, if we have those opportunities to, I think, track our wins for resources, that could definitely help with as far as creating an equitable strategy to make sure that all of APS has equity in their school and district.
Thank you, Allison, for that. And thank you for representing Group 4, which is our last group. I appreciate everyone who shared out and who were very honest and open in helping us to talk through how we can realize our vision for equity, as well as what will it take for us to get there. We look forward to collaborating with everyone as we do this process together, because we're working to undo centuries and systems and structures that none of us created, but that together we can work to undo so that our current students and our future students have the opportunities that they deserve and that they need. So before I close us out, I also want to invite Board Member Grant, who is joining us today, to close us out with just a few closing welcomes and remarks, and then we will wrap up for the evening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Baker-Jones. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I joined late and that I wasn't part of your breakout groups, but I really appreciate hearing what you guys talked about. Part of what we have been working for, and I'm just so grateful to have it realized finally, is some way to understand what the needs of each and every one of our children is, what makes complete communities, and how do we understand that as a district, and then how do we target our resources to those needs. So I think, just in my personal thing, that's what equity would look like, is how are we building complete healthy communities through our resources. And I just really want to thank every one of you who is there for, who's down for it, and who is working to make that a reality. So anyway, thank you guys, really appreciate it.
I agree. I want to plus one what Board Member Grant said, and thank each one of you for your time, for your respect for differing opinions, and for your willingness to be candid with us, to be uncomfortable at some times, but also to share for the good of the cause and for a healthy dialogue. In order for us to find real solutions on behalf of every student that we serve, we all agree that it will take hard collaborative work and hard and difficult conversations. And today is just the start of many conversations to come as we work to do this work, and this hard work actually, of advancing equity in our district. And you can help us by elevating your voice, responding to the survey that was dropped in the chat earlier by Stacy, or that might have been shared in your breakout groups. Please share that survey with folks who are not here in the room. Every voice counts and every voice matters. So the more folks that we can hear from about what the work is that has to be done, the better. And we'll be sure, oh, there it is again, dropped into the link. Please copy that. Again, equity is at the forefront in Atlanta Public Schools so that we can foster a culture that encourages excellence for all students and for all staff. When we achieve this ideal, we will truly have equity and social justice for all. And so with that, I thank you all for joining us this evening. We have 2 minutes that we're giving you back in our session, but thank you for joining us. Please invite others to attend other teas that we're having in other clusters, spread the word, and let's roll up our sleeves and do this work. Have a great evening, everyone.